And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. Your home to win Kevin Miller's money, where you could win up to $5,000. $5,000 by listening 3 times daily. We hope you listen more. We hope you stay with us from Kevin Miller to Lars Larson, right? And when you listen at 6 and 8 or at 3, you get the code words. You type them in, KIDOTalkRadio.com. Where you'll find where to type them in under Win Kevin Miller's Money. And the more words you have, the greater your chances are of up to winning $5,000. Today's code word in the 8 o'clock hour is gamble. That's right, gamble. Gamble, gamble, gamble. So be listening at 6, 8, and 3 p.m. for your chances to win on KIDO Talk Radio. Remember, 3 o'clock is the Sean Hannity Show. Joined now by our great friend, Dr. Gerard Lameiro. Dr. Lameiro, good to have you back.
Oh, it's great to be back on your show.
So what do you make of what's going on in Washington with Judge Kavanaugh? This is Clarence Thomas, Judge Bork on steroids.
It is. And you know what? The next 2 Donald Trump appointees to the Supreme Court are also going to have their characters questioned. I think it's their technique. You know, the folks like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, when she was appointed by a Democratic president, that just breezes through because the Republicans are decent in their treatment of nominees, and the Democrats do anything, stand on their head to keep the person from being appointed because he's a conservative. I mean, let's face it, before this person came up, Professor Ford, with her accusation, they all said they were going to vote against him, so there's nothing here in terms of voting that's going to change. They're going to vote against him no matter what. But this is just, I think, a delaying tactic because we'd like to see the judge, Judge Kavanaugh, on the Supreme Court next week when the new term opens, October 1st, which I think is next week. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but it sounds right. But at any rate, they're trying to delay that.
Right, and we've never seen people go to this level to stoop to the levels that we've now heard from our friends at Fox News that even if Kavanaugh gets on the Supreme Court, if the Democrats reclaim 1 or possibly 2 houses of Congress, they're going to hold hearings and try and impeach him.
Right, that's why they're losing about 20,000 votes a day in my estimation because people are turned off. I mean, this is just anti-American stuff. The idea that they'll impeach the justice because they don't like him. They don't like his politics. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, won an election. He won a substantial number of votes in the Electoral College and clearly won. He didn't win in Los Angeles and some Democrat strongholds, but he won across the country. And he is a legitimate president, has the authority to appoint Supreme Court justices. And they're doing everything since he's been elected to thwart him. The deep state has been trying to say he colluded with Russia. There's no evidence of that. And a lot of folks have taken him to court over policies that are clearly within his mandate as president. Immigration laws, for example, clearly give the authority of immigration issues over to the president to decide. And they're just trying to thwart him. You know, California does lawsuits all the time. It's ridiculous. I mean, they lost an election. Get over it. You know, move on. Why don't you try to do what the American people want instead of forcing everybody to accept your progressive socialist ideas, which people have rejected?
By the way, Dr. Lameiro, what does it say, though, that you have women just automatically convicting Kavanaugh without giving him the presumption of innocence?
Well, and especially in this case, because when you have a case with a vested interest, when you have someone who is a person on the left, who my understanding is Professor Ford was one of the people in the march against Trump around inauguration time. Remember where they wore the funny hats?
Yes.
And that? I believe she participated in that. Her lawyer, my understanding, works is number 2 at an organization that George Soros funds, whose purpose, among other things, is to ensure that Brett Kavanaugh does not get confirmed. I mean, that's the lawyer that's defending her. And, you know, this is just so obvious that it's a political stunt. It's a character assassination, basically because they don't want the guy in. I mean, if this person were a left-wing liberal, radical, socialist justice, he would breeze through and get every Democratic vote.
Why do the Republicans seemingly never fight? And then you have the press. And Dr. Lamero, what does this say about our greater society that you have the TV folks going, well, it's bad optics. It's just bad for the Republicans. It's just bad Republicans because they have 11 men. It's 11 men. It's 11 men. And men really should be discarded. Men shouldn't have the same rights, or we shouldn't look at men equally when we have one alleged accuser. Before we give the accuser with no credibility, we elevate her because of her gender over men, senators, elected officials.
Well, this is what socialism does all the time. I've gone back, I study history of political philosophy, among other things. I study a lot of stuff. And you can go back 100 years. This is how socialism works. It's divide and conquer. You divide the nation into groups, black and white, men and women, gay and non-gay, on and on and on. By dividing, you conquer. You try to get groups on your side and really all it is it's political philosophy. They don't like conservatives, and so they're going to try to, align their groups, whatever groups they can try to go for, against this candidate. Again, if his political philosophy were different, he probably already would have passed the vote, and there would be no question about his capability if he had the right political philosophy. And by the way, notice that the Democrats don't do this to people like Keith Ellison and lots of other people that they're associated with that have come across with accusations against them for sexual matters.
Well, here's the other thing that's very troubling. Cory Booker, he's Mr. Spartacus, and there's a report, I think, in The Hill that he was a groper. Yeah,
absolutely. In fact, I think he wrote an article about his groping or something, as I recall seeing. And, so why not disqualify him? Why not say he can't vote because he's not able to vote in this area? It's a conflict of interest, of what he does. And the idea that, all men are wrong, all women are right, is so against our rule of law. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and everybody should have their fair say. And certainly Kavanaugh should be able to confront his accuser if she's going to come forward. But really what she wants everything on her terms. She wants to basically have no lawyers question her. Why? Because she probably would get tongue-tied with this story. And the other thing is that she doesn't want Kavanaugh to be in the room, which is ridiculous. Why can't he face the accuser, listen to the story, and respond? She wants to talk after he talks. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it does seem rather odd. How about her demands? She's going to make the United States Senate wait on her.
Ridiculous. I mean, we have a Supreme Court term that's about to start October 1st, which is roughly a week ahead. And we would like to see the full court. And the president gave an appointment in ample time, put Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court in time for the new term. Why should she delay? And by the way, this was known months ago, and they only brought it out at the last minute as a delaying technique to keep him off the Supreme Court.
Dr. Lamero, if people want to get a hold of you that are listening to KIDO Talk Radio, what can they do?
Well, for one thing, they can go to greatnewsforamerica.com, and there's a contact button on there. They can invite me to give a speech. They can invite me for consulting. They can buy books. They can read articles. I have 160 web pages, give or take, and there's lots to read for free. And if they want to go in depth on any topic, I have 5 books in print and 5 books on Kindle that they can get at Amazon as well, or anywhere else.
Well, that's quite the publishing empire. Let's talk a little bit about the midterms, sir.
Sure.
You correctly, years out, and I was a skeptic, predicted Donald Trump would be the winner, and you stuck by that through thick and thin. What about the blue wave?
There is no blue wave. I wrote an article, I think, back in December that there was not going to be a blue wave, and if anything, the blue wave has been bursting. I call them blue bubbles. Those are congressional districts that are blue that are actually bursting. And just to give you a little example, this week, San Antonio, Texas, there is a blue district for state senate in Texas, and for 139 years, it has been straight Democrat, not one Republican elected. It went 12% for Hillary Clinton over Trump in 2016. That's how blue it is. Well, guess what? An unknown, politically naive, so to speak, somebody who's not into politics is what I mean, conservative decided to run against a Democrat. And what do you think? He won. And that's amazing in that district to turn from blue to red. It's happening elsewhere around the country as well.
Well, it can't happen soon enough, considering all the anger that we're seeing against Donald Trump, against the Republicans. And I fear what happens if these folks retake the House, they retake the Senate, they retake the White House. And even if they don't, they're ready to try and get rid of Donald Trump and anybody that believes in America by any means necessary.
Well, that tells you they're certainly not democratic. They talk about being Democrat socialists. They're not. You know what they are? They're socialists. They're totalitarian socialists. They want to run everything, even though they lose all the elections. They have to go to court because they have a few liberal judges still on the court that were appointed by Obama and Clinton and others who haven't retired from the court yet. But as Trump continues to replace these activist judges with constitutional conservative judges, which he's doing a great job of replacing as people retire and leave the court. We're moving toward the rule of law more and more, and that's why he was elected. And he's also going to, I think, clean out the swamp. I think he's going to drain the swamp because I think you're going to see Jeff Sessions leave, Rod Rosenstein leave after the election. I think he's waiting for the election for political purposes because he's actually picking up votes as we speak. Every day that Professor Ford delays the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh, he's picking up 20,000 votes in the election. I think he's just holding off because he wants to win the election clearly.
How do you expect this to go down?
Which, the election?
Kavanaugh.
Oh, Kavanaugh, he'll be appointed probably a few days late. I think that she will testify under some circumstances, maybe on Tuesday, and that's going to delay it one day because the Senate takes a week to do a confirmation. They have certain steps that they have to go through, a cloture vote, different things, and then so it takes a week. So it would be maybe Tuesday of the following week. But I think he will sit on the Supreme Court during the first week of its session.
It is troubling that this good man's name is being ruined.
Oh, and he is a good person. Everybody testifies to that except for Professor Ford.
Even Elena Kagan.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. She hired him.
Right.
When she was the law school dean and that. Absolutely. No, he is very good, and I doubt if this happened. I mean, the timing is so suspicious. It also follows directly the Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas hearings. I mean, right before they're going to vote, she comes out, says he's a terrible person, harassed her, and that. And by the way, the person who contacted Professor Ford about this matter and I guess got her to testify, or got her to want to testify in that, is the same person who contacted Anita Hill. Isn't that coincidental?
Dr. Lamero, one more time, if people want to get a hold of your great information, what can they do, sir?
GreatNewsForAmerica.com, and I normally do a new article every week they can read.
Dr. Lamero, you stay out of trouble. We appreciate your predictions.
I don't have time for trouble.
Take care, sir.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye, our great friend, Dr. Lamero. Coming up next, the Catholic Church addressing more scandals. What about the faith? In addition to that, at 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
the FBI to investigate her claims. She is asking for that kind of review, that investigative work, that oversight, that accountability, because she's telling the truth. Someone who is lying does not ask the FBI to investigate their claims.
And that's not an activist. That's a United States senator. But why is she yelling? Kellyanne Conway?
Well, obviously, some folks are trying to delay this as much as they can, probably politicizing it as well, trying to go well past the beginning of the Supreme Court term in early October, well past the midterms if they can do it. And that's because there are people who have not named Dr. Ford who have been trying to politicize this entire process from the beginning.
One would say perhaps Dr. Ford is trying to politicize the process from the very beginning. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
What are they afraid of? Why not have the therapist come in, her husband come in, her friend come in? Why not have Mark Judge testify under oath to the FBI and then in front of the committee? What are they afraid of? Ask the question, what are they afraid of? What is this White House afraid of?
What we want, and I think Judge Kavanaugh would want this too, would be an airing, a clean airing of this new information. He says he's innocent, and we have to get this information out.
What is happening with the Judiciary Committee is really, I would call it a railroad job. And it's totally unfair.
When the allegations are something happened 36 years ago, I can't tell you where it happened, when it happened, then I think I would have a hard time saying we're going to deny somebody who's eminently qualified for the Supreme Court to not do it based on something that there is no corroborating evidence.
They're giving her an option. The option is show up Monday or don't show up at all. I consider that to be bullying. I consider that to be disregarding. I consider that to be something set up for failure.
Right. You know, I think we've entered a world of reverse bullying where anyone, because of social media, can claim to be a victim. By the way, good morning, Kevin Miller, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio, where legitimate people that are victims are ignored. Look at what's going on within the Catholic Church. And there are many great Christians, great people of faith that listen to this program. And those of you that have been lifelong people of faith or recently born again understand your connection with God, with the Almighty. And there is nothing more frustrating, whether it's at work or it's a crime that's committed, that is ignored. And here you had, for years, real-life, legitimate victims being ignored by their people of influence, people of authority, priests, deacons, bishops, cardinals. Now allegations going up to Pope Francis on these abuse things. And this is after the Boston Globe broke the story detailed in the movie Spotlight of what the priests were doing in the cover-ups. The cover-ups continuing. Now, we're not just talking about one church. We're talking about an organization. Could happen at your place of work. Could happen at wherever, at the gym. Happens to children. And as we've seen, years of neglect and abuse. Now, you contradict it with Dr. Ford, who, she doesn't remember what happened, where it happened, when it happened, or who was there. She already has an elevated sense of authority, credibility, as opposed to these victims of abuse. And can somebody tell me what abuse is? Because I see a lot of videos today where we have people that should be arrested if they were following sexual harassment, sexual violence laws, a lot of bumping, a lot of grinding, that sort of thing. Is that what happened? Were they dancing? Was it even Judge Kavanaugh himself? And let me say this, as someone who has been on the wrong side of history, someone who would go on national TV and say, why would a prosecutor in the Duke Lacrosse case lie? The Duke Lacrosse case, you had three young men of Duke University, David Evans, Reed Seligman, Colin Finnerty, who were falsely accused of rape by Crystal Mangum, now serving time in jail for murder. They were white, she was black. They were privileged, she was a stripper. Why would the prosecutor lie? Prosecutors don't lie. What happened? The prosecutor lied. The governor, then Attorney General, apologized to those young men. I apologize to their coach, Mike Pressler. I was just covering the story. But what that taught me is the presumption of innocence. You have a father, you have a coach, you have a husband, you have a son. And what about the threats against Judge Kavanaugh's life? So let's balance the abuse and allegations of outrage. By the way, here is Cardinal Timothy Dolan on what's going on in New York.
I hear that they want accountability, transparency, and action.
He's talking about allegations of abuse and sexual abuse in the New York Diocese of the Catholic Church.
Summer officially ends on Saturday, and I, for one, am sure glad it's over. Many of our people and our priests are calling it the summer of hell for our Catholic family.
Not only the Catholic family, but all people that do the right thing. You know, we had a brilliant conversation with Dr. Huber, a forensic psychologist now in Austin, Texas, born in Boise, Idaho. And you have to live with yourself when you see an atrocity happening or when you see somebody wrongly being slandered. Maybe some people can't. More on that in a minute. Traffic and weather together. Kevin Miller in the morning.
Jim Duthie.
Thank you, Jim. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Here's the very latest concerning whether there will or won't be a showdown next week from our own John Decker.
The president tweeting, "I have no doubt that if the attack on Dr. Ford was as bad as she says, charges would have been immediately filed with local law enforcement authorities by either her or her loving parents." He continued, "I ask that she bring those filings forward so that we can learn date, time, and place." Before last night's rally in Las Vegas, the president told Fox's Sean Hannity,
"Let her say what she has to say, and let's see how it all comes out. But they've delayed it a week, and they have to get on with it."
Judge Kavanaugh saying he wants to testify under oath in order to clear his name. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
Here's the latest. If I'm the Republicans, I go, no, you come in on Monday or you don't come in at all. You're not the boss of the Senate. Do you believe they'll go along with that? We'll talk about it next. Plus, what you can do to help out a very special and significant cause here in the Treasure Valley. You don't want to miss how you can help out a great local charity. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
And coming up, more of your phone calls. Scott and Caldwell, hang on. We're going to get to you next. Joining us now from the Idaho Diaper Bank, Kate Arovich. Kate, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Kevin.
Good to have you with us. So please tell us what's going on and what we can do to make sure that there are a lot of families in the Treasure Valley throughout Idaho that get the diapers.
Well, next week is Diaper Need Awareness Week. Governor Otter proclaims it every year. And to kick it off this year, we're having a Stuff the Bus event at St. Vincent de Paul on State Street, 6464 West State Street, hoping that the community will come together to help us with diapers and wipes that we give out about 50 to 60,000 every month to families in need.
Boy, and diapers are not cheap.
Oh, no. They can run about $100 a month, $1,200 a year, and they are not covered by any government assistance. Neither SNAP, which is food stamps, or WIC cover diapers because of how they're classified. So families struggle, sometimes with a decision. Do I put gas in the car to get to my job, or do I buy diapers because my child has a wet diaper? And it's a health crisis as well. So we need to make sure that people have access to enough diapers to keep their babies dry, safe, and happy.
Right, and children are such a blessing. And anyone who's around a child, you want to make sure you give them everything. And these diapers and wipes and just needs of a child are so expensive.
Yes, they are. And these, parents are struggling. We have, a good economy, and a lot of people are having jobs right now. But, these families, especially if they're having to find some daycare for their babies, they have to provide the diapers to the daycare as well in order for them to go to jobs. We also offer cloth diaper kits, by the way, for people who are interested. And we have that right at our website. People can apply for a cloth diaper kit. And that would save a family $1,200 a year.
Boy, 53% of the children ages 3 and under living in Idaho, they're poverty or low income.
Yes. That is a National Diaper Bank Network statistics. Every year they analyze the state data that comes in from the WIC offices. And yes, nationwide, it's 1 in 3 children are in families struggling with diaper need. Again, they might be getting assistance in other areas, but they're not getting assistance with diapers and wipes.
So if people would like to help, not only next week, Kate, but anytime, what can they do, ma'am?
Well, again, they could come visit us. Find out more on Saturday from 9 to 6 at St. Vincent de Paul on State Street when they see the big white bus covered with banners. But anytime, please visit us at our website, www.idahodiaperbank.org, for ways to help. They can hold diaper drives with their church, their organization, in their neighborhood. But remember, because we're partners with National Diaper Bank Network, we receive bulk discounted pricing. So we can buy 2 to 3 times as many diapers with the same dollar that someone can go to even one of the big box stores. So monetary donations are great because we use that to buy, we're buying about 30,000 diapers a month.
And that's tax deductible?
Yes, it is. We are a 501c3.
Well, Kate, we'd love to have you back on again, not just for this week. Ray, let's see if we can get Kate on next week, midweek to get an update. Can we do that? Kate?
Well, that would be great because then we could also advertise for Wipe Away the Blues concert. You might have heard of that, too. That's going on next weekend, 11 to 7 down at Jump with the Boise Philharmonic and the bands from the Boise Blues Festival, put on by Astagos.org, which is one of our partners. They're a new day shelter opened up about last January, and they're putting this on to raise awareness, and also the suggested donation, because it's a free concert open to the public, is wipes. Hence the name, Wipe Away the Blues.
You're very creative.
Well, that was all Tim at Astagos.
Well, Kate, thank you, and Ray will be reaching out to you next week, and we'll have you back on. Thank you for caring and making a difference in the lives of children here in the Treasure Valley.
Well, you're welcome, and thanks to all the community for coming out and helping.
Have a great day, Kate. Good luck.
You too. Take care.
All right. You too. There we have it, the Idaho Diaper Bank diaper need next week, right in front of St. Vincent de Paul on State Street. Please help them out. Scott in Caldwell, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller.
And good morning to you, sir. I was thinking with your experience with the Duke lacrosse case, you might be able to enlighten me a little bit. I was thinking with the Clarence Thomas and the Anita Hill situation, I never understood why Judge Thomas wasn't able to slap back with a defamation suit. And in this situation with Kavanaugh, here he's facing an accuser doing, I think, potentially irreparable damage to him and his family for life. I don't understand why he wouldn't be able to come back at her with a defamation suit.
Well, I think once it's over, you just try and move on. The Duke kids settled out of court with a few people. I don't think they settled with the media companies, but they did settle with a few people.
Well, I guess that's something. But in the case of Judge Thomas, I don't see that there was ever really any attempt to, on the part of the press or Anita Hill, to have to make amends for all the damage that they did. And in the case of Judge Kavanaugh, I think it's the weakest case I've ever seen or even heard about, and there doesn't seem to be really any talk or mention of going offensive with this person.
Well, I would agree with you, and that's shame on the Republicans.
Yeah.
The idea that they're afraid, and here's the deal. Eventually, you have to, accept authority. And okay, madam, you want to come in? Come in. But no, we're not going to do. You're not running this thing. You have an allegation. If it's true, bring it and bring some credible evidence. If not, we're going to move on. What's lost in this case, Scott, is he's a dad, he's a son, he's a husband. He coaches girls' middle school basketball. It doesn't get much wholesome than that. After he was announced as the Supreme Court justice, he went back to serving the homeless that night for his church. And I think people like you and me and others have to say enough and, stand up for him, because I don't see a lot of that happening.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad at least we're able to have this much discussion. But anyway, it's a horrific, horrific thing for someone to build a lifetime of goodness and then to see something that's completely baseless do this kind of damage without any retribution. I think is a real shame. But I sure appreciate you taking my call.
Thank you, Scott. We appreciate you. Have a good day.
Thanks, brother. Bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
Durham 911, where's your emergency?
Hi, I'm just so angry I didn't know who to call.
Duke's entire lacrosse team under the microscope on the alleged multiple rape.
It was white over black. It was male over female. It was rich over poor.
We come here today because justice has not been served.
All of the people at the party were Duke lacrosse players.
The state of misogyny that's present among some members of this team.
I got a phone call, and I just said to him, when you need me, Kyle, I'll be down there. And he said, I need you.
Why was it so difficult to understand what happened that night?
Just felt like everyone versus us.
To see your son in handcuffs was horrific.
No one deserves to be assaulted, raped, abused.
There were a lot of questions to be asked, but questions needed to be asked on both sides.
That was from the Fantastic Lies, the 30 for 30 special that aired last March or maybe 2 years ago from ESPN. Fantastic Lies about the Duke lacrosse case. And having watched that, it forever changed my life. Having been the first reporter in the country to break that and to be on national television, it changed the way I look at things. And I look at Brett Kavanaugh, and you hear the anger. No one should go through this. No one should do that. And then, by the way, I want to thank our listener, Lori, who sent me this letter from the Idaho Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence, stating, a letter from 3 15-year-old girls that say that they support Dr. Ford. 15-year-old posted on Facebook, quote, Brett Kavanaugh assaulted you. He felt entitled to your body. We can't trust Kavanaugh to make decisions that will impact girls. And Lori writes, do the 3 girls know that Kavanaugh is a volunteer girls basketball coach as a well-acknowledged, brilliant jurist? The 3 15-year-old girls encourage Blasey Ford to testify at the hearings. In such a proceeding, the girls would understand the burden is on the professor as the accuser. But we don't see that. In fact, all of Hollywood is rallying behind Blasey Ford. Have you heard this? If you haven't, you're hearing it on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning. Not thousands, not hundreds, but a select few of Hollywood's elite. They've come out with a video telling Blasey Ford that, quote, we believe you. That it's okay. Kavanaugh is bad. The video is produced by the George Soros-funded MoveOn.org.
Dear Professor Ford.
Dear Professor Ford.
Dear Professor Ford. We know how difficult it is to stand up to powerful people.
We want to thank you for publicly sharing your story of sexual violence.
As members of the Senate determine whether Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh
should serve as a Supreme Court Justice.
The Supreme Court Justice.
This context is critical.
The behavior you described was wrong.
Wrong, and runs directly counter to upholding the law and promoting justice.
He should not be confirmed.
He should not be confirmed.
He should not be confirmed.
We can also imagine how shocking and overwhelming it must have been
to have your truth shared on a national stage without your permission.
You should be the decision maker about how your story is shared, if ever.
We applaud your courage in coming forward
for the public good, and we will be with you as you face the inevitable backlash.
The inevitable backlash.
The inevitable backlash.
You're strong.
You are strong.
And you are not alone.
You are a survivor. A survivor.
A survivor.
And millions of us have your back.
You and your testimony are credible.
You and your testimony are credible.
You and your testimony are credible.
We believe you.
We believe you.
We believe.
All right. I don't believe her. Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. I don't believe her. If I'm going down on the dad, the father of the two girls, the husband, the loving son. Not going down on someone who, not backing up someone who was at an anti-Trump rally. Very documented. People don't like her as a teacher. Very documented that she's a left-wing activist. Her credibility, why would she do that? Well, to derail Judge Kavanaugh without any evidence backing it up. It's a little late for this guy. He's usually in the 6 a.m. hour or sometimes the 7. Doug from Mountain Home joins us with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin. Yeah, because I didn't go to work. I'm going to cut firewood. And I listened to your doctor that you had on there, whatever his name was, that was given the predictions. Man, I hope he's right, Kevin. I really hope that people are waking up and going, you know what? What a bunch of lying. Excuse me, I almost said it. I won't. They're just liars. If their lips are moving, they're lying. And I'm going to say one more thing. What's the Hawaiian freaking lion senator's name? The woman?
Mazie Hirono.
Okay. What I'm going to say right now is the lady Ford. I'm going to say this. You shut up and come forward. Shut the hell up, stand up, and come forward to the Senate and to the hearings. Shut the hell up and bring your freaking crap that you say happened to the Senate. And I'm going to say this to the Republicans. You guys are a bunch of freaking cojonaless. I would like to say something else. You guys go over there and squat in a corner like a bunch of freaking women that won't shut up. Period. You have control of the House. You have control of the Senate. And I have watched you guys through Clinton, through freaking Obama. What do? You go over there and suck on your thumb and squat in the corner and piss in the corner, just like a bunch of women. I mean, it's the Republican Party that have no freaking cojones, period. So I'm done talking, Kevin. You keep up the good work, and I am really glad to hear something that people are starting to pull their head out of their freaking other end of them and seeing what these freaking lying freaking Democrats, socialists are. And, Kevin, it's just like what I've been saying. I've said it all along. All you got to do is look around. George Soros' name comes up everywhere, don't it?
Yep.
Soros. All you got to do is look at some of the Republicans that I told on this radio show. I said, like, all the ones that ran for president, Republican, against Trump, they all took Soros money. And what the heck's the one that's the friggin' Speaker of the House? What's his name?
Paul Ryan.
Did the same thing. Yeah, took money. Why do you think they're getting out? They're getting out because they don't want to get exposed. They're not Americans, period. I've said enough again. I get so freaking worked up, Kevin. Please keep up the work. Keep this show going. People, listen up. All they want to do is destroy this country, and they don't care who they take down with it. They just want power, period. And Judge Kavanaugh, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, it's a plain as the nose on my face anyway. It's a big freaking push to get rid of him. That's all it is. You know?
I agree, Doug. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye. Dave in Meridian, you're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hey, Dave.
Yeah, good morning, Kevin. Yeah, this is the fruit of the communist movement in the United States, the Marxist movement, the mob rule, or really unrighteous judgment to come and condemn a man, accuse him that he's guilty by accusation. You know, I wish somebody would just use a prop and offer up the left a hanging rope with a noose and tell them to start looking for a tree. Let's have a hanging. If mob rule is all we're going to have.
It would appear to be that way.
Yeah, and, I'm a classic movie buff, and I like the old Westerns where, the mob tries to come to the sheriff's office and, burn the place down or demand, that somebody be handed over to them to be hung before there's a fair trial. And it's just mob rule. And I think, like the last caller, really, the male-hating radical left feminist, this is a direct challenge to, the Senate, but it's, whether we're going to acquiesce to radical feminism, the communist feminist, that really want to just dominate everything and everyone. This is a challenge for the Senate. I'm really curious if their spines will turn to jelly, or they'll just say enough is enough, be here, show up, or we're moving on. I'm really curious to see what happens, whether their knees start knocking and they start shaking, or whether they'll stand up and just take control.
We'll all be watching. Dave, thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio.
Thank you.
All right. More coming up next, including pro-life with the last word. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's roll along for Glenn Beck. Pro-life joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, pro-life.
Yeah, all human progress, individual, societal, family, anything has to do with honesty. And these people are not being honest. And those Hollywood women that did that kind of thing, I noticed it was all women. There wasn't any men. They're a disgrace to the female race. It is just really sick when people lie like this. And we've got to stop it. We have to call them liars. And, Mr. Crapo's on the Judiciary Committee. He needs to stand up and say they're liars. And, he nobody
wants to fight anymore.
No, they don't. So that's our real problem. There's not enough honesty in the world. You can't figure out the truth if you're not honest. But you'll always buy a lie if you're a liar. And that's what's happening in this world. And we just have to remember that Jesus Christ says, always tell the truth. So
well,
anyway,
and always be a role model.
Yep. All right. Hey, you got the best show going.
Well, I bet you say that to all the boys.
No, I don't. I absolutely don't. Because I know the truth. I'm not a liar.
And what's the truth?
That Kevin Miller show is the best one in the Treasure Valley.
God bless you, brother.
All right, we'll see you.
All right. That was unsolicited. And we hope one day to earn that title. Got to earn it each and every day, right? Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio.
Jim Ducey.
Hey, Jim, thank you very much. Ray Amaya, great job. Everyone, God bless. Keep the faith. Have a great weekend. Hey, by the way, if you're out running Fit 1 tomorrow, I'll be at Elmer's out there waving at you, cheering you on. Have a great weekend, everybody. Glenn Beck's next. Stay tuned.